Hello, everybody. So, it is I, Snakestaff Magic. I joined by Daniel and Michael,
Hello.
also known as Fresh Powder and
Hello.
Emerald Soldier. I will
Hello.
speak over their introductions because I'm nice like that. I thought, I, I thought I'd let Daniel record this one because obviously we've done commentaries on FVS in the past, and it seemed fitting that this one should be within that set of videos. So basically, I wanted to come here and talk about some changes that were made because before Chapter 7 was released, there were some different directions that I was going to take the series, and I thought by revealing some of them to Daniel and Michael, who haven't heard them in full, it might make them wonder about where I have decided to go in the future with my end of the story. So, before we start all that, like, FVS has been going on for a while, and I guess I wanted to ask you individually some questions about it. For
Okay.
instance, when I can find my notes. Well, let's start with Daniel. First question for Daniel: how would you explain how the series started for you?
Um, well, I think that has a pretty obvious answer because this whole series basically sums up how our friendship started. Like it all started off with you commenting on my now cancelled reactions, saying if I could watch the next episode of Doctor Who without looking at the title, because spoiler alert, because some characters did return in that episode. So naturally, when I didn't, you were like, no, I'll get my revenge somehow. And that's where it all began.
Yes.
It was funny because it was one of the few moments where someone actually mentioned me in a YouTube video, and I was like, how nice he's mentioning me, even though he hasn't done what I asked him in the nicest way. I was like, oh, he didn't even have to say Snake Stuff Magic said this, but he did. I was like, that's really nice of him. But what about you, Michael? How would you say your introduction to the series was back then?
Hmm. It's been a while since from my memory how it was introduced to me, but I'm obviously I'm pretty sure it's introduced by the Doctor Who reactions. Like, so obviously it started with a simple comment and all that stuff, and then I started to get into the comment section about, you trying to stop the war, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I was literally like, my imagination back then as a kid was really wild, and I guess it's the same as sort of similar to Dan's
You were one of the
introduction.
you were one of the first commenters to ever truly get involved with this little
Yeah,
feud of ours. You were like the first person who said, "You don't have to go to war. You don't have to do this."
I'd have to double check, but I think the earliest I remember is maybe Michael commenting on the one where I released Fresh Powder after I captured him. Maybe I think that could be it.
Yeah.
I
Like,
think I think it was when I was on the reaction video. I think
ah,
I can't remember if it was me you capturing fish powder. I can't remember.
but I was rewatching Daniel's reaction to Sour Powder's introduction earlier and looking at it like, geez, that was 6 years ago. Like, I know that I took 4 years to like get on with it, but like, how old would you have been then, Michael? Like,
God,
like
it'd be really, uh, maybe about when I was definitely quite young when I was introduced to Dan's channel, and then I got into FES when it started. So
yeah.
probably about 10, maybe
10 years
12?
old. Wow.
Maybe.
Yeah, but still, that's quite the age.
Yeah, I was quite young when I got introduced to it because I was literally there when it all started, literally. So
And obviously, we can't. Obviously, for Reaper Studios isn't here right now for this, but he's been involved for a good while too.
yeah, he probably been involved with it, like similar to when I started to get into it.
Yeah.
Like,
And we appreciate what he's added to the series, of course.
Yeah,
His
yeah,
stuff is
and
great.
obviously he has like more involvement than me, but you know,
So far.
and so far, yes. Who knows what the future holds?
Yeah.
Well, another question I had noted down is, I'll ask Michael first, but like, how would you describe the series?
I can describe it in many different ways.
Well, what if someone asked you what it is? Like, how would you sum it up?
Well, I guess I can say it's a war between two characters who want to kill each other.
What the goodies?
Well, that's a blunt way of putting it, but that is kind of it.
And you want to put it in simple terms, you know?
I mean, I never thought Fresh Powder wanted to kill me, but I mean, that could have changed.
I mean, obviously I seen Fresh was, you know, he didn't mean to kill Snakestaff in the battle, so, you know, pretty sure it's by accident, but, you know.
Yeah.
How would you describe it, Dan, based on everything that's happened so far?
Well, considering the fact that it just started out with commenting, it's sort of it kind of spiraled out of control. Like, how can we top the other person's video? And so it just went back and forth until it eventually, how I imagine the series to go, I imagine it similar to a cross between Avengers Endgame and the battle from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
All right. Oh, yeah. I guess I could see that. Like,
Yeah.
It's definitely blossomed into something special. Because if I had to describe it, it's just a massive collab of creativity that is just absolute nonsense, but we take it seriously at the same time. And it's
Yeah.
like, you know, just like
anyone who just entered or just started watching it will of course be relatively confused, and they'll of course find these scenarios hilarious. The fact that I treat this one bird as like the ultimate hero, and just for me to get so dramatic over him, like, no, Falcon! It's like, you know, what on earth are these guys doing to make this?
You can have this epic fight scene 1 minute, and then you can have Lefty going, ah, while bowling balls going towards Cyberman. Yeah. Just like, but it has been hilarious.
Yeah.
I guess, and the third question I have noted before I get into changes that have been made, it could be a difficult question, but what would you say your favourite thing about the series is?
More like a favourite moment? Or...
I guess favourite thing about the whole of it so far. Like, what do you like about it? What is it that makes it like...
I mean, for me, I definitely like how the animation has changed over the years, because it's definitely improved. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely got to make way epic and all that stuff.
I guess for me, I guess just the fact that with every new edition, the story just keeps getting deeper and deeper. Like, how chapter 1 just started out as, oh, I want to pull off a payback prank, and then the next episode, missile strike, and then after that, I receive an evil doppelganger, and then after that, I bring in a team of bootleg superheroes, and then the next chapter, you kill off one of those heroes and send in an army of Daleks. You know, it's just one thing after the other, and ultimately, the grand finale is just going to be a this explosion of randomness.
It's going to be epic.
I mean, as it stands at the moment, we're filming this video while season 2 is happening, basically. So we've got season 7 is the opener, and while Daniel's story is happening, it's coinciding with mine, but it's happening in different areas until the finale, which will be chapter 10. And then where will it go from there? That is the question, I guess. We'll find out.
The thing is, I'm trying to with Fresh Powder's Big Blue Spaceship, I'm trying not to call back to Fresh versus Snakestaff all that much, because I imagine by the end of it, we're going to end up right back where we started, with everyone in Nowhere checking up on the Bunyip's progress and such. Like, that's kind of... That was kind of a joke I thought up. Like, if it ever came to the point where you were still potentially working on Chapter 8, and by the end of Big Blue Spaceship, the crew returns to Nowhere and think, are you kidding me? We've been up there for 6 months and the Bunyip still hasn't found them? Come on, guys.
That would have been really funny. I would have liked that.
But I think the series might have a similar idea, but regardless, but I don't imagine the finale of Fresh Powder's Big Blue Spaceship ending with the crew arriving at the scene of the final battle in Fresh vs. Snakestaff, because I have ideas on how I'd like that introduction to the battle to go.
Okay. Alright.
Okay.
Well, that's going to be interesting. And obviously, I haven't really, I guess I should say this before, because now we're getting into the future territory and stuff, but like,
Oh, yeah.
I guess, I mean, it is hard for me to choose a favourite thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess, obviously, what it's developed into, like, I like how it's evolved since the start, you know.
Yeah.
And I often find myself going back to watch Daniel's reactions to the chapters.
I knew the same.
Yeah.
They do make me laugh. Like, as I've always said, if we were ever to put these on, like, if we ever merged all the chapters together, I'd want a version without the reactions and one with the reactions. Because I watch Daniel's reactions to the chapters more than I watch my own chapters, because I find that funnier.
Yeah, that's, like, I admit, I kind of do the same thing myself. Like, watching the reaction within... reaction to that chapter instead of the actual chapter, that's a habit of mine.
I mean, that's something the audience needs to know going in, is most of it was made for reactions from each other. Like, if you just watched it without that context, it's just a mess of crazy, hilarious, but, you know, stuff of creativity. So, okay, so we're finally into this. I've got quite a few notes here. So, basically, this all started out with the end of Chapter 6. Now, I figured there was going to be a longer break after Chapter 6 before Chapter 7 came out, which I don't blame Daniel for, because clearly he was really excited to get Chapter 7
Well, the thing
out.
is, I didn't know you were going to have Chapter 6 essentially be a halfway finale. I just thought we were going to just keep on doing it casually until whatever ending we fought up, wherever the series went after that. But what happened, and here we are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I made Chapter 6, I didn't have a Season 2 in mind. It was more, I'm going to end it on a cliffhanger, because all the best things end with a little cliffhanger at the end, you know, just like... But then once you have a cliffhanger, it's like, when is there going to be more? You know, it's like, they want to know what happens next.
Yeah.
But one thing... I had been entertaining an idea, which was just an extra video at the time, rather than the start of a new series. And I imagined that it was going to be a really short video where Fresh realizes he knows that the Daleks are still out there and they're kind of hanging around in space. So I imagined this sort of video where Fresh Powder goes flying out of Earth with a cape on in Superman sort of style. As he approaches the ships, and then he just kind of summons this massive blue ball of fire and flings it at the fleet and destroys them all.
Jeez.
And it was just gonna, like, just imagine that with the Superman theme, and suddenly he just goes, Horosphere, boom, destroys the fleet.
Yeah, I definitely recall you asking me to make a pic of Fresh flying. I think I still have those pictures. Actually, should we be showing those pictures in this video, or should we leave that secretive?
that's fine to show that because it's an old thing. Actually, I think I do remember asking you for that. That's so long ago now, but I think you did do that. And, well, you did, but like I remember it. And the funny thing is that kind of evolved into you were saying how you brought out chapter 7 and sent the bunyip off, so that kind of altered the idea in my head, and that soon changed into the bunyip destroying the Dalek fleet rather than Fresh doing it, which was so that's where that idea came from.
I see.
Of course, the other one, which I've kind of briefly mentioned to Michael. Now this starts. This is basically the start of how I imagined an entire season 2 for Snakestaff to go. But now the ideas are completely different. They've got some inspiration here and there, but this is how originally season 2 was going to be. So it kind of starts off with Snakestaff is kind of like in limbo, like he's in darkness because he's been killed by Fresh Powder, basically.
Yeah.
And while he's stuck in this limbo, like, it's not like hell or anything, it's like a space between, I guess. It's like Snakestaff's own version, I guess.
Yeah.
He's browsing around, and he kind of opens the 1 or 2 doors. Through one door, he sees, like, a demonic, ghostly version of Falcon kind of haunting him.
Oh my god.
And then the next...
disturbing.
And then basically there's this demon there it's basically, imagine this creature that's like all teeth and like small eyes, like, and the thing's kind of like taunting him, saying he's stuck here and stuff. Snakestaff opens another door and Cyber Leader is in there. Except now this was planned way before Daniel saw Capaldi's series, which was what I was hoping for. Cyber Leader would look like the classic Cybermen, like the ones from, the first series.
Yeah.
And Cyber Leader would be walking towards Snakestaff going, pain, pain.
Oh my god.
And it would be terrifying. And I thought if Daniel saw that before he got to those episodes, it would have been amazing. But obviously I took far too long to do that idea in the end.
Yeah.
And
That'd be really good.
And so the demon is kind of like makes a deal with Snakestaff, and he's like, if I send you back, and the demon kind of knows Sour Powder and Venus are going to bring him back, so it's going to be that takes him back. He's like, I'll let this happen, but I need the soul of an ice draft because I was going to species drop Fresh Powder,
right,
which didn't happen. And so that was going to be the deal, and it was going to be about Snakestaff needing to hunt down Fresh Powder so that he could carry on living instead.
Well, the thing is, I'm kind of glad you didn't, because let's just say for Chapter 10's prologue, there is going to be a bit of a reveal about Fresh and the other powders, but you'll just have to wait for that.
Yeah, one thing if I was going to do that, I would have come to you first, because I thought it's not down to me to species name Fresh Powder.
Yeah.
But, like, there isn't... But then that was one of the things that was going to happen. So then, after Snakestaff came back, one of the things that was going to happen was... So, I, like, live in a mobile home at mine. You've seen it in the Cooking Know-How videos and things. Like, so... I was going to be here with Sour Powder and Venus, but then the government were going to turn up, and they were going to be after. This wasn't necessarily going to be with the demon idea. It could have been, but this is a separate sort of idea. So the government were going to go after Snakestaff because they knew he was a threat, and they were going to try and apprehend him.
So basically, like the middle act of Spider-Man No Way Home, where the villains are on the run and J. Jonah Jameson's trying to track them down, that sort of thing.
Yeah, basically. So Snakestaff would have gone to Fresh Powder and said, Fresh, you don't understand, the government is after me, but they're really after this weapon. Like, and it's not... I've reformed, but the government are actually after the ones who are the villains here, and they're using my villainous name to like get it.
Right.
So So Snakestaff would have teamed up with Fresh Powder to get to this thing before the government caught him. And I imagine Snakestaff and Fresh finally get to this thing. I imagined it being a gauntlet, not Thanos inspired at all. So,
Like a race sort of thing.
well, you'll see. So.
Oh wait,
I mean,
I'm thinking of the wrong type of gauntlet here. You actually mean like
I
it.
see why you made the mistake, but yeah, no, like it is like a Thanos Infinity Gauntlet essentially, but it's not that; it's something else. So Snakestaff and Fresh would get to this gauntlet, and Snakestaff would be like, "Oh yes, we finally got here," and Fresh is like, "Yes, we've done it. Now we can stop this from happening." And then Fresh slowly turns around to see that Snakestaff's looking at the gauntlet, and then Snakestaff turns around and it's like, the government was never really after this. I just told you that so I could get a hold of the gauntlet, you know? And then after that, the gauntlet would have had the legendary Pokemon's orbs and things. So it would have had the blue orb, the red orb, the lustrous orb, all that stuff, so he could control the sea, the earth, the space, time,
right,
all that lot. And Snakestaff would have turned into a Mega Mewtwo Y, wearing the gauntlet, wielding all of that power.
Oh
and it would have ended with Daniel having to deal with that as the threat.
Wow. That would have been quite the... That would have been quite the interesting battle if I had to go up against Groudon and Kyogre and such.
Yeah, so Snakestaff would have been a Mega Mewtwo Y, wielding the power of weather and the earth and all that stuff, still with Sour Powder and Venus accompanying him. And then maybe Sour Powder playing the drums in the background, yeah! As it stands, Snakestaff's story now, as of chapter 7, has gone in a very different direction, with some inspiration from that lot kind of included, but it's very different. It's not the same story now. So yeah.
Nice.
Oh. As for my original idea for chapter 8, this is basically how I imagined it to go. You would... is it okay if I just reveal my ideas?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is how I imagine the entirety of chapter 8 to go. So I imagined the Daleks were harboring your corpse to try and bring you back to life, with Sour Powder and Venus overseeing everything, and right at the point you come back to life and you're like, oh gosh, where am I? You see the Bunyip's portal opening up within the Dalek ship, and so the Bunyip roars, one of the Daleks blasts it, but of course the Bunyip is immune. So it starts going ballistic and starts swiping at every Dalek left and right, just battering them all to the ground and just taking them out with ease. Because I imagined, you'll know I like visualizing different music and sounds in my head, how would I visualize this sort of thing? And I just imagined this entire chapter having the entire music, the scene from Fox and the Hound where they encounter the bear.
Oh, the bear, yeah.
I imagined the rest of the music playing while this whole battle is happening. So, anyway, the Bunyips swiping at the Daleks, battering them all. Sour Powder potentially could have had a redesign at this point. I mean, I don't know what he looks like now, but I imagine because Fresh and the other powders regenerated, he would have some sort of more monstrous looking regeneration of his own. So
I'll say, yeah, carry on actually. Yeah, I'll say that in a bit.
So Sour Powder steps in, takes on the Bunyip head on. He's much more agile, and his flamethrower fire abilities are giving him an edge. I imagine Venus on top, like pecking at the bunyip, trying to pull it back and such. And during the battle, Snakestaff's staff is tossed around. He's like pinned beneath a pile of broken Daleks. The Sarah Powder and Venus are eventually tired out. They can't take out the bunyip on their own. And then I imagined you introduced some new mystery ally. Like, this was your opportunity to bring in some new ally. They would come in from behind while the bunyip was distracted and get it in the back and such. Like, yeah! And then I imagined, like, this character starts taking on the bunyip, then they begin struggling, but just as the bunyip's about to deliver the final sweep or killing blow, Sarah Powder tackles it out of the ship. They both start plummeting to the ground, but Sarah Powder makes sure to stay on top of it, and as soon as they impact the ground, Sarah Powder's fall is broken, but
By the bunyip.
yeah, the bunyip briefly gets up, looking horrifically injured. It gives out one final roar, like kind of like the clone battle with the two Charizards in the first Pokemon movie.
Oh, yeah.
So
Cool.
he would give out one last final roar before finally collapsing to the ground. The Cybermite would slip out. Snakestaff, finally free, would see the Cybermite, along with all the Daleks behind him. The closest Dalek to him, blasts the Cybermite, destroying it on impact. And then you would say something along the lines of, Fresh Powder wants to battle more. I thought with his victory over me, he'd be satisfied. But no, he still wants me for one last battle.
I like the epically added British accent you just did. That was good.
And so you would turn to your forces and say, well now, Fresh Powder still wants one final battle. I say we give it to him! And then that's when it would fade to black, to be continued and such, and that's how I imagined Chapter 8 to go. So, what do you think?
That is
That's pretty
cool.
interesting.
I mean, I know it was. I mean, that is a very cool idea. I'm interested. Like, I love. One of the funny things I kind of like from that was, I don't know, Snakestaff only just wakes up from being dead, and then the bunyip turns up over him. Like, oh no, I'm sorry. It's just like, you think the bunyip could have withstood?
Uh-oh. I didn't hear that bit there.
I said, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I said, do you think the bunyip could have withstood a killing curse? Or would that have been something you included it being immune to? Like,
Well, the thing is, the bunyip is sort of an undead creature already, so I feel like a killing curse probably wouldn't be that effective on it because it's technically already dead. But it just needed, those last few blows to finally, stop it for good.
yeah, maybe when it turned up, it could have like kicked the staff away or something, so Snakestaff couldn't use it, or or like that would have been cool. But yeah, that is an interesting way. But Chapter 8 could have gone. I will say, I'm going to send you an image after this that you can put in the video of Sour Powder, because I personally perceived it as, I'm a huge fan of how Sour Powder's original design is, and I think that he wouldn't have changed with the other powders personally. Like, I think it's more like, because he's kind of a product of science and cloning and dark magic. I know he's got Fresh Powder's DNA, but maybe he wouldn't be included in the design change because of that.
Yeah,
because of
regardless, it's still a good design whether or not he regenerates or not.
It would be interesting to see a Sour Powder design with the star.
I imagine him being like a lot more dragon-like because of his fire abilities.
Yeah. Well, there is going to be he doesn't have a form change, but there is going to be something interesting that happens with Sour Powder by season 10. I will say that.
Right.
That's the only hope I'm giving towards that, because I'm not allowed to say anything else
Hmm.
towards what's going to happen with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is very interesting to think about. What are your thoughts on all that, Michael?
Well, what can I speak? Well, it's interesting that, we all had like original ideas for how the chapters would have went, and it would have been very epic to see an alternate reality, I guess, of the universe. Because if your two ideas went in that direction, then obviously the finale would have gone in a complete different way, and it will, it would have been the same way. I don't know.
One of the things Daniel was talking to me once about what could happen with Chapter 10, and he was saying about the Daleks being involved before, obviously, I released Chapter 8, Part 1. And the whole time I was there like, well, I mean, the Daleks might not be here by then.
Well, I mean, Davros, I believe, is still out there, so there is, spoiler alert, there is the possibility that we might see Davros and the Daleks again in the final, but, well, I'll just have to see how the rest of Chapter 9 goes. And
it would be interesting to see, like, old classic design Daleks instead of the new ones.
Okay.
Maybe to make them more loyal, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, there is potential there. There is potential, because I know there is something I've thought about doing. I haven't decided if I will, but I think I should probably point out that I think there is going to be a season 3 of Fresh versus Snakestaff. That's entirely up to Dan, obviously, but I do picture that happening. Like,
I actually haven't thought that far, because I've just been so focused on how do I want this story to go. Like, after well, let's just say I do have something planned after Chapter 10 that basically I imagine Chapter 10 going to be concluded. And I was going to I'm gonna do a little short series after Chapter 10. Let's just say it's something I pre-recorded quite a while ago, and I've been holding on to it until then, so that's when it'll go up. But I doubt it's going to bring anything new. It's just going to be something like, oh, where did they end up after this? And
that's cool.
Yeah, that's all I'll say.
Oh, that's right. You go, Michael. You go.
I would say I do have I only came up with my own ideas how I imagine season 3 to go, because I don't know if I should say, but obviously my character will soon be involved in it, and I have ideas how my character should be involved as well. So, and
yeah, definitely. There's also, this isn't something I've really spoken about, but I think I guess now's the time to say it, but like, obviously Daniel is going to finish season 2 with Chapter 10 and some stuff afterwards. But there is a video I want to make which ends Snakestaff's story just after Chapter 10, which would be a short sort of ending to the season 2. I'll talk to Dan more about that when we get there, because there's some stuff we need to make work together and things like that. But that's behind the scenes details, so you all see what happens. And as far as season 3, to be honest, I haven't really thought about a lot that could happen, but I have had ideas about what could potentially happen. So I think one of the things that inspired FVS is when Nostalgia Critic fought Angry Video Game Nerd all those years ago. Which is kind of a direct inspiration for, I wonder if Daniel would be up for doing something like that when I first met him. So show I've been showing. So I've been showing Michael the Nostalgia Critics movies like Kick-Ass, Suburban Nights, and To Boldly Flee.
Yeah.
Because that's a very big inspiration for this sort of stuff. So yeah. I don't think I'm forgetting anything else. So yeah, I'm finally glad to tell you about some of those older ideas.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool to hear them.
Well, I'm not sure what else to say here other than expect Chapter 9 to be made by Dudley. It'll likely be in 3 parts. Then it'll be up to me. I'll be making Chapter 10's prologue, which will be a separate video. Then Chapter 10, which will be in 4 parts. So, yeah, that's how I imagine things to go from there.
Yeah. And also, I'm sort of making my own little project for the series as well, so...
Yep.
Yeah.
Things are going to get crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also looking forward to the Reaper's editions, hopefully, to the rest of Season 2 as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what else to say here, Dudley. Do you have anything else?
I guess the chapters and the reactions get a lot of views, so if you're here, make yourself known, and also thank you for sticking with the series, because it has been a laugh and a half.
Yep.
So far.
So, yep, we'll see you for the future chapters, the final chapters, potentially, whenever they may be. So, yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a pleasure talking. So, yeah. Until next time, stay fresh and stay tuned.
I just realised I introduced this video and Daniel ended it. But yeah, we're too used to these podcasts. But thank you both for turning up. Yes, it was good.
It was good. Yeah.
Right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.